Welcome to A Few Minutes with the CEO. My name is Al O'Grady, and for the next few minutes, we'll be talking to the president and CEO of Sunridge Gold, Mr. Michael Hopley. Sunridge Gold is a mineral exploration company with a number of projects in Eastern Africa. Its properties are NI 43-101 compliant and have a very healthy concentration of precious and base metals, including gold, silver, copper, and zinc, not necessarily in that order. Now, the date of today's recording, Thursday, May 5th. Last week, back on April 28th, the company came out with a press release with some very interesting drill results. We'll be talking more about that in just a moment. Sunridge Gold trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol SGC. Mr. Hopley, thanks very much for joining us.
Nice to meet you, Al.
Yes. Mike, as I said in my introduction, you had a press release with some very interesting drill results. Walk us through this. Tell us about the numbers and really what it means not only for the company, but also for its shareholders.
Okay, well, these latest drill results, Al, are from drilling at a property called Debarwa. This is one of the 4 properties we have in Eritrea. It's a copper, zinc, gold, silver deposit. And we've been drilling that for the last several years on and off, and these latest results last week were of the last 24 drill holes that we completed there, and it summarizes the whole program. The main object of this drilling is to define the Debarwa deposit in greater detail for a feasibility study that is ongoing. In fact, it's been ongoing since November last year, so it's approaching the halfway mark. These results, the results of the drilling at Debarwa, are particularly astounding because of the high-grade copper results. Some of them reported in this latest news release were things like 19 meters of 12% copper, 22 meters of 13% copper. So we've got a lot of very high-grade copper at Debarwa, which is going to be a focus of the ongoing feasibility study there.
So are you going to be changing your name from Sunridge Gold to Sunridge Copper?
Well, we may at some point have to do that. The main focus of the company, though, in terms of metal content at Debarwa and the other properties, is copper is our main economic mineral, followed closely by zinc and then gold and silver. So we have considered changing our names, but we're not doing it anytime soon.
Okay. With those drill results that you had mentioned, what was your overall reaction? Were you surprised by that, or was it more of a quiet confidence? You knew this all along.
It's more of a quiet confidence, frankly. We've been drilling this project on and off for a few years. We had some initial problems with the metallurgy, that is recovering the copper. Those are now solved, so this project is moving ahead very fast, and these results were not too surprising because we knew we had this high-grade copper zone at Debarwa, and this was really confirmation and tightening up the drilling pattern on the copper, what we call the DSO, the direct shipping ore option. We think that we can substantiate, or we think the feasibility study will substantiate the feasibility of mining some of this very high-grade copper and without processing it, just crushing it without any other processing it, shipping it to market. A lot of these results were to do with defining that DSO zone in greater detail.
Okay, Mike, we've been talking about the press release, really what's happening today with the company. Take a step back. Give us some background information, maybe someone that's new to the company, seeing the story for the first time. Put things in a historical perspective, if you could, for us, not only on this project, but other projects that you're working on as well.
Okay, well, we've been in Eritrea, in East Africa, since 2003. We've done a very aggressive drilling program and exploration program there since 2003. We've spent in the order of $35 million there. We drilled well over 200,000 meters of drilling, and we've defined a very large amount of copper, 1.2 billion pounds of copper, which is 580,000 tons. We've got about twice as much zinc and over 1 million ounces of gold and 32 million ounces of silver. So you can see we've been very successful with the drill rig there since 2003. And now these properties are moving forward rapidly to the feasibility stage in one case and pre-feasibility study stage in the other 3 cases. There's a total of 4 properties there. These properties are all surrounding the capital city of Asmara. In terms of, so we've got a large amount of metal in a very easy place to operate. The country is considered a very good and acceptable jurisdiction for mining now. And logistically, these properties are about as good as it gets. They're all close to paved roads, water, and the major city of Asmara, population about 400,000 people.
Okay, we've talked about the present, a little bit about the past. Let's talk a little bit about the future. Where do you go from here? What can shareholders expect from Sunridge the next 3 to 6 months, and also a longer-term perspective, say the next 2 to 3, maybe even 5 years down the road?
Well, we're very active at the moment. We raised over $26 million at the end of last year, and that has enabled us to catapult these projects much closer to production. We will be spending over $20 million this year on engineering studies, the related drilling, metallurgical studies, environmental studies, and the like, so that we are really moving these things forward. And so in the short term, the rest of this year, there should be a lot of good news coming to market from that work. In the medium term, we will have the results of this feasibility study and pre-feasibility studies late this year and early into next year. And then we think there'll be even better news then as we're moving these things forward towards production in the next couple of years. There are very few deposits around the world of this size that haven't been gobbled up by the likes of Chinese companies or Indian companies. And I think we'll certainly have better value in the market when these projects have gone through feasibility study and pre-feasibility study. That will give us much more enhanced value, I believe. So that's the projects in Eritrea. We also have some exploration projects in Madagascar, similar geology, similar mix of copper, zinc, gold, and silver, which we're going to be drilling. We're very excited about the first phase of work that we did there late last year. And we're going to be starting a 6,000-meter drilling program this month with results probably in July from that project.
Okay. You have gold, silver, copper, zinc. You have to be in a very enviable position to have not only these four, but also significant concentrations of all of these four as well. Is it really your business philosophy to actually look for a property with all four, or did it really just turn out that way?
Actually, to be honest, it really turned out that way. We like, these are called volcanogenic massive sulfurides, is the type of deposit that they are. We like these types of deposits, but the particular concentrations of copper, zinc, gold, and silver happen to be just very good in this market environment. We know, of course, what gold has been doing. Copper is, 4 or 5 times in price what it has been for most of my 30-year career. So, and not to mention silver and zinc as well, particularly silver is doing very well. So, yes, it is a very lucky combination of minerals at the moment.
There's an old saying, the harder you try, the luckier you get. So, obviously, this is it's paying off for you, Mike. You're doing something right.
We have been trying hard.
Yes, you have been. Speaking of that, last fall, your stock price had a nice run-up. Before October, you were below 50 cents, more than doubled that in short order, well over $1 towards the end of the year. Yesterday, you were at 96 cents. I know we have to be careful regarding forward-looking statements, and I'm not looking for a prediction or a forecast, but maybe a comment on the past performance might be in order.
Well, I think late last year, a lot of investors, suddenly the light bulb went on because of what's been happening in Eritrea with the commencement of production by Nefsun's Bisha mine. And people thought, oh, well, this looks like it's an interesting country with a lot of mineral deposits that can actually be put into production. So they're looking at the next in line for production there, and that would be Sunridge. So I think that's why we got the attention that we did. And I think now investors are looking at us and saying, wow, look at the amount of metal you have in the ground. There are very few companies, junior companies in particular, have anything like this order of magnitude of metal in the ground.
Okay, let's talk money for a second. According to your last quarterly report, you had over $20 million in cash and no long-term debt. That has to make investors very secure in their investment decision. How do you plan on spending the company's money?
Well, as I mentioned before, Al, we have got a very aggressive program, engineering studies, drilling, metallurgical studies, environmental studies ongoing at the moment, and we are spending that money rapidly, but I think in a very good way. So that we will create value in the company. It's all very well to have billions of pounds of copper in the ground, but unless you can demonstrate by a third-party engineering study that these are viable, economically viable, then they don't mean a whole lot. But I think once those studies are complete, then I think Sunridge will gain a lot greater value for these economic pounds in the ground.
Mike, that's it as far as the formal questions are concerned. But as always, my guest gets the last word. Any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to add right now?
Well, I think, again, I probably sound like a broken record, but I think that when people look at Sunridge, what we have in the ground, when we look at where we are in the world, logistically speaking, near a coastal port on the Red Sea, direct shipping to Europe or to Asia from there, and look at the amount of metal we have in the ground, I think people will realize that Sunridge at present is very undervalued, and that with the completion of these feasibility studies, pre-feasibility studies later on this year, we will just be getting much greater value for what we have.
Okay. On that note, Mike, I want to thank you very much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us about Sunridge Gold.
Thank you, Al. It was a pleasure.
Okay. And Sunridge Gold trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol SGC. And you've been listening to Mr. Michael Hopley, President and CEO of Sunridge Gold, on A Few Minutes with the CEO, produced by RBL Communications. I'm Al O'Grady. Thanks very much for joining us.